How long have you been trying to learn a language? Months? Years? And how much can you actually speak? The reality of it is that 90% of people who try to learn a language never even make it to a level where they can have a basic conversation. 90%. Меня зовут Микел, и я говорю на 12 языках. Я разработал быструю и эффективную систему изучения языков в инновационном центре университета Дeusto. Я помог тысячам людей быстро выучить языки. And in this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to learn languages fast and actually learn to speak so that you're able to understand and have real conversations. And I'm not going to waste your time with theory or give you a motivational speech. This is a step-by-step actionable plan. And if you follow it, you'll be conversational in weeks. You won't need 1,000 hours of so-called comprehensible input, and you won't need to have an extremely long Duolingo streak either. This has worked for me over and over again. It's worked for thousands of students, and it will work for you as well. I'll explain the whole system and I'll show you all the techniques step by step. But before you continue watching, you need to know that this is not going to be about learning languages effortlessly, the lazy way, just by watching videos and all of that nonsense. This is going to be hard work. You're going to have to do things that you don't particularly enjoy. But this will get you results. But first, let's talk about what doesn't work. Because there are a lot of things that people are doing that don't work very well and that will waste your time. So if you're doing these things, you should probably stop. The first thing you need to know is that you don't need to study grammar to speak a language. Language education came with this grammar nonsense years ago for some reason, but you don't need it at all. Think about it. Did you study grammar before you learned to speak your native language? Yeah, right? Nobody did. You learned to understand and speak your native language without studying grammar. So why study grammar when you're learning another language? You learned your native language by listening and repeating sentences. You tried to speak, you got corrected, and you tried again. That's how you learned. And that's also how you should learn a foreign language. You listen, you try to speak, you get corrected, you try again. It's really as simple as that. Grammar rules are something you can look up if you've got questions, and there's something you're not sure about, you can look it up, the same way you look things up in a dictionary, but you shouldn't study them. And if you don't believe me, just look at the results people are getting with the traditional language learning system. In many countries, including here in Spain, you get millions of people trying to learn English or some other languages, mostly by studying grammar rules. And after 5 years of classes, sometimes 10 years of classes, they still can't understand the language or speak it. Just look at the average level. Almost everyone had classes in school with grammar exercises. And look at where that's got them. If that's not proof enough, I don't know what is. So for now, forget the grammar exercises. Let's focus on learning the language. And it gets even worse because now, instead of grammar and classes, people are trying to learn with apps. And most of those apps are absolute garbage, especially the most popular ones. There are some good ones as well, of course, like the one you can download with the link in the description. But most apps, especially the ones that are gamified and have cute little animals and bright colors, are a complete waste of time. They're a bad video game for your smartphone disguised as learning. And that's how you get people with a 500 or 1,000 day streak who can't still speak the language. Imagine if you were getting those results with anything else. 1,000 days in a row trying to develop a skill, practicing every single day, and you still suck at it. You're completely incompetent after 2 or 3 years of practicing daily. If you got those results with anything else, you'd be extremely disappointed. Or you should be, at least, if you value your time. They made you waste your time. Because if you practice anything for more than a few weeks and you're still terrible at it, completely incompetent, whatever you're doing to try to develop that skill is definitely not working. But if they gamify it and make it fun, and they give you little rewards every day, like in a video game, and they make it addictive, you end up forgetting that you were trying to get a result. And you focus on keeping your streak alive instead of getting results. And that's why you are where you are. And it's not your fault. They specifically designed it to make you fail. They designed it to keep you addicted. They want your attention for as long as possible. They don't want you to succeed. And the sooner you understand this, the better. You really need to stop playing video games and pretending you're learning. And speaking of entertainment disguised as learning, you also need to stop lying to yourself and pretending that you're learning by watching YouTube videos in the language. Yes, it's better than nothing. Yes, if you watch thousands of hours of videos with subtitles in a foreign language, eventually you'll understand something, but you will never, ever become fluent this way. You don't learn to speak by watching videos. In order to get good at speaking, you need to practice speaking. So you seriously need to stop wasting your time and start learning effectively. Because if you do it right, you can get results way faster than you ever thought possible. But you need to do it right. How? Very simple. You just need to do 3 things. 3 simple things done correctly and consistently, and you'll get results fast. The first thing that you need to do is to learn a lot of sentences. You need to learn a lot of sentences, and you need to learn the right sentences. This is extremely important. This will be a game changer because most people try to learn random stuff. You memorize all kinds of random words because some app gave you those words, colors and animals and cutlery and all kinds of random words, most of which you will never use in a real conversation, instead of the actual things you need to say. So here's what you do instead. You create a list of every sentence you actually need to say in real life. Not words, sentences. Complete sentences that you can use immediately. You need to learn high-frequency sentences that get used all the time in real conversations. You learn those really well, and you will already be conversational in the language. Hundreds and later thousands of short, simple, useful, practical sentences. And once you've learned those, you start working on your language islands. You learn entire paragraphs about your actual life, all the things you normally talk about. You learn an entire paragraph about yourself, another one about your work, or several about your work, all the things you talk about with friends, the things you will say to native speakers when you meet them, all the things you normally say in restaurants, in cafes, in shops, etc. And also memorize paragraphs about your main conversation topics. The more of these personalized paragraphs you prepare and learn, the better. All your hobbies, your opinions, the things you like to rant about, everything. You should write a paragraph using your own words about each and every one of those topics, translate it into the target language, and learn it by heart. And you should also do the same thing with stories. All those fun stories you normally tell, well, translate them into the target language and learn them. And doing this will make you fluent. You'll be able to have deep conversations. These are language islands, and they are by far the most effective way to learn to speak a language. Now, if you're thinking this is a lot of work, you're right. Coming up with absolutely everything you want to be able to say in a language and then writing it down, that's a lot of work. But I'm going to show you how to do it much faster and much more easily. All you need to do is to take your phone, use speech notes or an AI, and talk and talk and talk. Talk about everything that comes to mind for days. And you'll get a massive document of everything you say. And then you just need to translate that into the target language, create audio files, and learn them. It's really as simple as that. You don't have to sit down for hours writing. You can simply talk to your phone. And every minute preparing these materials will save you lots of hours of language learning. Because learning the actual things you're going to say is much more effective at making you speak the language. Don't learn random stuff, learn your own lines. And this is how you learn all the grammar as well. You don't need to study rules if you learn the grammar in context. If you learn enough sentences, you know the grammar. So step 1 is getting a list of sentences and paragraphs. Everything you want to be able to say in the language. Step 2, of course, is learning those sentences and paragraphs. How? Very simple. Once you've got them translated and you've got audio files, you read them, you listen to them, and you repeat them out loud over and over again. And you do spaced repetition with them. This is the kind of content you should do massive listening with. Your own sentences, the things you actually want to be able to say. You listen to them over and over and over again. And this will make you fluent. Just imagine, person A watches 100 hours of YouTube videos in Spanish. Person B listens to an hour of his own sentences 100 times in a row in Spanish. Of these two language learners, who will speak Spanish better after those 100 hours of learning? It's obvious, right? Unless you're really daft. Listening to the same sentences over and over again will not only help you use them yourself in conversation, it will also do a lot more for your pronunciation than listening to random stuff. Because a lot of repetition with the same exact sentences will allow you to recognize the sounds and the rhythm of the language. But it's not only about listening. You should also practice saying them actively. Once you get familiarized with the sentences that you're listening to, you should start shadowing. Shadowing means listening and repeating at the same time. So you take that list of your own sentences translated into the language, and after 10 or 20 rounds of listening to them in a row, you will already know them quite well, so you can start repeating them out loud when you listen to them. And the more you do it, the better. Because at first, it won't be easy. You'll struggle to speak in complete sentences. Because a language is a physical skill, it's a motor skill. Your mouth needs training. You need muscle memory. But the more you do it, the easier you'll get and the better you'll get at it. You simply need to keep practicing. Keep listening to your sentences and keep shadowing them, trying to sound as close as possible to the original audio. This simple exercise alone, spaced repetition and shadowing with your language islands, will get you better results than 99% of language learners. And if you're still worrying about making mistakes, then you should also do active recall. This is a part that a lot of people skip because it's hard work and it's frustrating, but it's extremely efficient. It's really, really simple. You take your sentences and your paragraphs and you try to say them in the target language without looking at them. And then you check if you say them correctly or not. And you will make a lot of mistakes in the beginning. Of course, the more shadowing you do, the fewer mistakes you'll make when doing active recall. But you will still make mistakes, and this is good. If you make mistakes and then you get immediate feedback, you're learning. This is, in fact, according to neuroscience, the fastest and most efficient way to learn anything. So you try to translate into the target language, you check, you look at the feedback, and you try again. And every time it'll get easier, you'll be able to do it faster and with fewer mistakes. And later on, when you are in real conversations, you'll be able to use all those sentences and paragraphs naturally, easily, and with very few mistakes. And this, my friend, is what people call fluency. Because fluency means being able to say what you want to say when you need to say it. And that's it. And all those techniques I just described will help you achieve exactly that. It's all hard work, but developing skills requires hard work. There's no way around it. This language learning system will get you faster and better results than anything else you'll find on the internet. And if you want to give it a try, you just have to check the links in the description.